Hello guys, my name is Piers and this is part 2 of creating a mediator from scratch. In part 1 we added requests and handlers that don't return anything. So in this part we will have requests that have a return type and handlers that return type. So as you can see, I'm already in the file that I have my iRequest and my iBase request. And I will add another interface and I will go and say public interface. I will call that iRequest as well. And we also need to have a response for that T request. So I'll say T response and I'll also have it implement the iBase request. And we should be good to go. And now to our request handler, we need to add a new request handler. I will copy that since it will have the same name. And the difference is that now we'll have also a T response. So let's say T response. And now let's change that constraint that does not need to implement the iRequest, that must implement the iRequest of the response. So in here the handle async method will return something that will be that the T response, and everything else should be the same and it should be fine. So finally, let's go to our mediator interface and let's add a new method. Let's call that again send async, although this time it will return a T response. So T response and send async, and we will accept an I request of T response and also a cancellation token as well. So cancellation token, and let's have it to be equal with default, and let's name the request, and that should be send async, not send async. So send async, and let's add that generic in here as well. So the response, and everything should be fine. And finally we need to implement that. So let's go to our mediator and let's see what we can do here. So first of all, let's make it async. And now since we have that generic return type, the implementation will be a little bit different than the previous one over here. So first of all, we need to get the type of the handler. So let's say var handler type equals with type of iRequest handler, but we need the one with the two generics. And now we'll call the make generic type method. So make generic type, and we need to pass the type of the request and the type of the response. So we have the request, so let's say request dot get type. And for the response, let's say type of the response, and that should give us the type of the dedicated request handler each time. So now we can take that handler from the DI container. So let's say var handler equals with service provided dot get required service, and let's pass the handler type. Okay, and finally we need to invoke that handle async method in that handler. So in order to do that, we will use again some reflection. So let's take the method info. So method info equals with handler type dot get method. So get method, and we need to pass the name of the method. So let's say name of iRequest handler of iRequest of the response and the response dot handle async, or I could just write handle async inside of a string. But anyways, now we have the method info, so now we need to invoke it. So let's say var response or just return it, and we need in that method info that it should not be null. We won't do null checks etc. in this video, so we need to call the invoke method, and we need to pass the instance of the handler. So let's say handler, and also for the parameters, since we don't know what would be its time, we have to pass them as an object array. So let's say new object array, and let's pass the request and the cancellation token, and that should also not be null. And finally we need to cast it to the return type, which is a task of t response. So task of t response, I need to change that since we initialize the array, and move it in there. And also let's await that, and everything should be fine. So let's do a small recap, but we'll see it better when we're debugging our app. First we get the handler type, then since we have the type we get the handler from the DI container, then we get the method info, and then since we have the method info we invoke that method to the handler that we previously got. Again, we will see it when we debug our app. Now finally, in our dependency injection class, all we need to do is we need to scan for handlers that accept the generic iRequest. So I'll copy that code, I'll paste it, and I'll change the type of iRequest handler to be the one with the two generics. So finally I'll go to my program.cs, and in here that we get all the heroes from the repository, I will change that, and we will get them through Mediator. So instead of injecting the hero repository, I will inject the Mediator, and in here I will await mediator.send async new get all heroes query, but we don't have that, so let's create it. So let's go to the app folder, I'll add a new class that will be that get all heroes query, and that will be a record, and that will implement the iRequest of I enumerable of heroes, since we want all of our heroes. And now let's go and create the handler. So public class, let's copy that get all heroes handler, and that will implement the iRequest handler of get all heroes query and I enumerable of hero. Okay, so as you can see now it tells us that we need to implement the handle async method, so we'll make it async, and we will inject the hero repository. So I hero repository, and I'll just say return await repository.getAllAsync. So let's see first if that works. I'll open Postman, and if I hit send we get back an empty list of heroes. If I go and create Iron Man and we try again, we have back Iron Man, so everything seems to work nice. So let's put a breakpoint in here to see what's happening. So I'll hit send again, we hit our breakpoint. First we get the handler type, and as you can see is iRequest handler of get all heroes query and enumerable of hero. Then we will have the method info. So if our handler, so we have our get all heroes handler that we took from the DI container, and now the method info, as you can see, is the handle async that accepts a get all heroes query and a cancellation token, and finally that line will invoke that method of that handler. So if we go to our get all heroes query and put a breakpoint in here, as you can see, we will hit that breakpoint. So I'll hit continue. We got our heroes back. So our job is done here. In the next video about our own mediator, we will create a request pipeline that will be very interesting. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching and have a nice one.